The Platform, the polarizing sequel to the cult classic movie The Ledge, sees itself receiving a sequel with the creatively named The Platform 2, which once again revolves around the riveting plot of a piece of floating concrete. Once again directed by
Galder Gaztelu-Urrutia.
The Platform 2 is yet another Spanish horror movie which tells you everything that you need to know. I sense an inquisition. Beginning with kids playing in a concrete playground, much like the ones you'll find in Eastern Europe, the movie is immediately telling you what it is. A visual representation of fairness. If you work together in harmony and take turns, then the machine keeps working and everybody gets their own go. But all the while, some rich guy is watching you through a window, laughing while he profits and stuffs his face from all of your hard work. We then see a group of people signing papers and asking what meal they'd like to be given every day, as they'll be going to a tower consisting of 333 floors, filled with various different criminals and people who have willingly signed up to join, in other words, masochists. This prison, much like all other prisons in the world, functions in largely the same way, in that the inmates are basically in control of absolutely everything that goes on inside of there, and that you can take whatever item you want in with you, as long as you can stick it up your bum far enough. In the tower, we then see a man and woman looking at a platform full of food, while being stared at by the people above, because they know that these two people suffer from social anxiety and absolutely hate it when people watch them eating. Much like a capitalist economy, the platform starts at the top of the tower, filled to the brim with all of the requested food, and it slowly trickles its way down past all of the inmates, as the people at the top get first dibs and are free to completely abuse the system, while sentencing all of the lesser privileged inmates below them to death, with zero negative consequences. Starving poor people aside, the inmates have established rules amongst themselves. You get to eat only your specific meal, and if you eat someone else's, we'll cut your arm off. But if you think about it, one less appendage, therefore one less body part to fuel with calories, so who's the real loser? Despite multiple people in this prison in need of a hand and an arm, there are others who choose not to follow the rules, whether they're just newcomers who have yet to become adjusted to the average Spanish cafeteria experience, or the others who the inmates refer to as barbarians, violent, selfish people who will eat whatever they want and kill people for trying to stop them. Two of the inmates are Zamiatin and Peripuan, but luckily they're quite high up the tower at level 24, so the chances of people eating their personal meals is slim, but much like the chance of you liking this video, not impossible. Zamiatin learns this the hard way, as he's upset about someone above him eating his pizza, and is stopped from eating other people's meals in retaliation after being told the rules by the people above him, and the severity of the consequences if he breaks them. Zamiatin, being a man that explains that he was sent here due to setting his parents' house on fire, with his item of choice being a lighter. Sounds perfectly safe. Higher up the tower, despite arguably being in one of the best positions in the tower, much like real life, some idiot has to go and ruin it for everyone else, simply because he can. The idiot in question is coming down with the platform as it goes from level to level, and is attacking people on each floor. Zamiatin and Peripuan watch as the people above them arm themselves using metal bars from their bed frames, when suddenly their view is obscured as the platform arrives at the floor above. Once it's done there and begins to make its way down again, the food is looking kind of weird today, as it appears to be created in the shape of a dead human, when two people fighting above fall down to their level. The woman, left in the cell above, is desperately trying to remove the food that had fallen onto the floor of her cell, when suddenly her platform bursts into flames. And people try to tell you that global warming isn't real. You're not allowed to keep any of the food when the platform leaves, and if you do, your punishment for overeating, much like real life, is death. The two men continue to fight before the barbarian is knocked unconscious with the help of Peripuan, as Zamiatin just kind of stands there as if he's never seen two Spanish blokes desperately trying to kill each other for food before. Their room suddenly begins to freeze as the platform begins to descend, as there's still food left on the floor. Something that's slightly unfair, considering the last person to die because of food being left on the floor blew up like she stepped on a green nitro crate. After they do a bit of spring cleaning, the man from above says that he will take the attacker down to try and find one of the so-called anointed ones, someone who has had direct contact with their master, the person who created the rules that they all live and die by. The story goes, the master survived a month without eating due to meditation, something that I'm surprised the politicians haven't used as a cheap alternative to feeding the poor, and 1 month he woke up on an even lower level where the food never makes it, so decided to cut the flesh from his own thigh to feed the dying people around him, who would then become his anointed ones. Zamiatin names the man from above Robespierre after the leader of the French Revolution, so I'm going to call him Rob. Rob explains that since the thigh incident, cannibalism has been explicitly forbade because only he's allowed to do it and screw everyone else, meaning that the spicy woman in the middle of the room is off the table. Literally. Rob decides to get rid of her and pushes her body off the ledge, where she smashes into pieces as she slams against the side of floors on the way down, more than likely completely annihilating anyone who just happened to be standing in the wrong place at the wrong time. And when their food next arrives, Rob explains that they cannot eat the food that belonged to the people who died yesterday, as nobody gets extras under any circumstances, as they're now responsible for disposing of their meals. Zamiatin and Perempuan look at each other like he's mad, but then again they did just watch a woman spontaneously combust for not sweeping the floor fast enough. After Rob and his new best friend leave, immediately after being told not to consume what doesn't belong to them, Zamiatin proceeds to consume what doesn't belong to him. After trying to eat enough to not ruin his gains, Perempuan becomes the one responsible for disposing of the food, but occasionally finds a small piece missing. But despite this, over time they become closer as they help each other out and share their food with each other. And after a while of following the rules, they learn that food had made it all the way down to level 175, meaning that all of the people down to that level have been able to eat. They begin to celebrate and dance as all of the other 158 levels after that starve to death, before suddenly waking up to find themselves at level 180. Every month they're gassed unconscious, and their positions are randomly changed for no other reason than screw you. It's apparent that the people at this level will not be sticking to the rules whatsoever, which is more than likely a commentary on our society, because the people who struggle the most are obviously the bad guys, right? The days pass, and each and every time the platform arrives, it arrives empty as they're on this trendy new diet of oxygen and tears, with the occasional severed head being seen falling from above. Zamiatin begins coughing up blood on account of his pizza withdrawals, with Perempuan taking it upon herself to do what she can to look after him, with every so often a random body part falling from the skies. Unlike their food, news is slowly trickling down from above, where they learn that there are people who need to be dealt with. A man from level 24 who's been eating the food of dead inmates, Zamiatin. The anointed ones will be coming to punish him for his crimes, and as he knows that Perempuan will likely be persecuted too, already depressed and dying from his pizza withdrawals, he stands at the edge of their floor, lights his blanket on fire for cinematic effect, and steps off into the abyss. After watching something as horrific as seeing your only friend free-falling while also polluting the air, Perempuan decides to go for a little sleep before suddenly waking up on level 51, but with a new cellmate. An unnamed cellmate, as the creator of this movie doesn't think that women deserve to be named. She's played by Natalia Tenner, known for Harry Potter and Game of Thrones, so I'm just going to refer to her as Natalia. They learn that someone from level 54, who is referred to as a barbarian, isn't following the rules. He used to be on level 2, almost at the very top, and would eat every day until he was sick, so people are going to go down to his level to pacify him, which is just police talk for committing murder. Perempuan and Natalia shouldn't go down to deal with him, due to there being a rule about only a certain amount of levels up being allowed to go down, but they go down anyway, picking up a few more people as they go, because rules are for people who are not me. And despite it literally being 5 people against 1, he manages to kill one of them before jumping onto the platform to make his escape after dealing with 5 of the most incompetent murderers ever. Natalia and Perempuan jump after him and manage to get the upper hand on him, despite Natalia only having one of them, but Perempuan decides to let him go and to continue descending downwards to create even more chaos and deprive people of food, simply because he asked her to. After all of that effort, she just lets him go away, and Natalia confesses to not actually being new, as she's been here for 6 months already, and decided to stay because she really likes the vibes it gives off. After being here for a while, respecting and enforcing the rules wherever necessary, Natalia and her cellmate came across a severely malnourished man, so decided to break the rules because, oh well, who cares, and fed him the meal of a dead prisoner. But because the other inmates are always watching and they're dirty little snitches, their punishment for saving a dying person, you know, kinda how the master did with the whole cannibalizing his leg thing, they were paid a visit by Dagon Babi, one of the anointed ones. An anointed one who takes his made-up role and his made-up laws incredibly seriously, and took Natalia's arm for feeding the man. Her cellmate at the time resisted, and took out Dagon Babi's eyes because she thought they looked much better on her, so in retaliation, he tied her to the platform and sent her down to the lower levels to be eaten alive while Natalia was forced to watch, because that's the closest thing they've got to entertainment in here. I then assume that Dagon Babi went down to individually punish each and every one of those people who engaged in cannibalism, right? Surely he wouldn't just pick and choose when to enforce the rules. Natalia suggests that they could escape together, and that she might know of a way to do it. A funny thing to bring up now, and not literally at any other point, but Okay. At the end of every month, they're gassed unconscious by whoever is running the operation, but if they descend further down into the tower to retrieve what Natalia refers to as the drowning dog, they can use that to keep themselves conscious while they're being transported. The drowning dog is a painting that contains charcoal, and if they consume the charcoal, its chemical composition will counteract the effect of the gas, according to something I saw on Reddit, the most reliable of sources. They look up to see a man tied to the bottom of the platform with his arms and legs stretched out, before his insides are then made his outsides, as everything falls below, as Dagon Babby and his people are coming. He arrives at their level, and knowing that 2 arms is simply too many for a person to have, orders for Parampoim's arm to be removed, before showing her his dark damp holes. She's tied up and her arm is pulled over the pit, and just like that, the platform descends, and so does her arm. And just like how he made Natalia watch her cellmate be strapped to the platform, he makes Parampoim watch as he attaches Natalia, and sends her down to the bottom levels defenseless. But it's okay though, he's only doing it so she can make new friends and socialise, and she'll definitely not end up in the digestive tract of a seriously underweight man. I guess another month passes, and she wakes up on floor 72 with a new cellmate, an older man named Trimgassi who shouldn't be alive on account of already being dead. But what's that? Did M. Night Shyamalan direct this movie? You're telling me it's been a prequel this entire time? You mischievous Spaniards. Trimagasi, the embodiment of not my problem, I don't care, as he eats and drinks whatever he wants, with the object he brought in with him being a kitchen knife. Sounds like a fun guy. Parampoim is going to continue going down in hopes of finding the drowning dog, and Trimagasi decides to tag along with her, considering that literally everyone else above him is threatening to kill him for having a good time. Under the guise of starting a revolution with the barbarians, she recruits more people as she descends, but what she really wants is safe passage to the drowning dog, because apparently she really likes the idea of a canine not being able to swim. And eventually making it to the floor with the painting with an army full of barbarians, Parampoim sees the canvas of what's supposed to be the drowning dog. I mean, if you squint your eyes a little bit. But Dagon Babby and his anointed ones are coming down after them, because how dare people disregard the rules and do whatever they want? Only he can do that. But instead of coming down to fight them, he plans to starve them out until they're too weak to defend themselves before coming to finish the job, while also killing absolutely everyone below them. But who really cares about them? Time continues to pass, like it unfortunately always does, but the barbarians have resorted to the tried and true method of consuming each other, while Parampoim reflects on her past and thinks about why she's here. She was an artist. That explains that then. She would create ever-increasingly dangerous sculptures, and eventually she created a large dog with razor-sharp blades for claws, which she would have on display at an exhibition. But she refused to let them put up safety barriers, as she thought it would add to the intensity of the piece, and adding to the intensity of the piece it did, while also dishing out another edition of the Darwin Award. This event was attended by kids, and a kid would trip and fall directly into the dangerous open sculpture to be put into permanent timeout. So as self-punishment, she's willingly brought herself here because she needs time to forgive herself for what she's done. I told you there were masochists here, but I'm not really sure that's one of those situations that would really warrant self-forgiveness on account of her being a giant idiot. With there being no hope of starving the group out as they've resorted to self-consumption of each other for nutrients, Dagon Babby and his people come down to fight, and amidst the absolute chaos that is unfolding, the barbarian who Parampoim attempted to pacify but ultimately let live, decides to repay her the favour by once again trying to kill her for literally no reason whatsoever. But she's able to stop him as Trimagasi hands her his knife that she's able to use to put a stop to him, because it turns out internal organs don't seem to like it very much while being poked by the pointy end of a stick. After hiding under a bed with Trimagasi, surrounded by nothing but death and disorder, just how us humans like it, once it's all over, she crawls out, finding Dagon Babby groaning on the floor in pain, until eventually he succumbs to his wounds. After rolling him and everyone else off the ledge, it's just her and Trimagasi as the only survivors of the conflict. She tells him that she's planning to leave, but he refuses to come with her as he's having the time of his life up here, before she consumes a magical piece of the painting. A magical piece of the painting that somehow keeps her conscious once everyone's gassed unconscious. God seems to have turned gravity off for a bit of fun, and she watches as a group of workers clean up the place and relocate the living. The dead are sent down to the very bottom while all being piled together, which she uses as an opportunity to hide, before sliding under a bed on the bottom floor, free, as she watches as a child is brought down. Always wanting one of those things for herself, she attempts to free the child and take him with her, but in the process slams her head into the side of his concrete bed, as she doesn't quite understand momentum. It appears that someone found the gravity button again and it's turned back on, before she rides the platform down with the child on it into the dark void at the very bottom of the tower. While at the bottom, suddenly she finds herself surrounded by the most disturbing of creatures. People. before willingly getting off the platform while leaving the boy on it. She's trapped down there with everyone else who decided to ride the platform down before the platform is sent shooting back towards the top, with the child being given a chance to survive while being at the very top of the tower. Despite her best efforts and how hard she tries, there is no escaping this place, and then the movie ends. And not only does the movie just end, but it ends with leaving us with one important message: don't eat another man's pizza. So before this video comes to an end, I'd like to just give a massive shout out and a big thank you to all of the YouTube members and patrons. People who every month continue to go out of their way to help support the channel, something which I greatly appreciate. If you're interested in becoming a YouTube member or a patron yourself, not only are you just generally being a great help, but you also get access to a few little perks, like being able to join the private Discord server, where you can then get links to all uncensored versions of videos going forward. So, starting off with this week's new YouTube signups, a massive thank you to Luak War 312, Tom, Foon, Jesse Holcomb, CeeLo Graham, AA Ron, Kevin Malone, Buffalo Bill, Big Bird, Pedro Manfredante Martindale, Gillette King, Sugant Fandivarian, Lance Besser, Aaron Shea, Garnet Fox, Andrew, Di, Christian Eriksdotter, Zaza Lord, Tyler Wild, Alan Bigwood, Millie Slater, Troved, Bob Rodeau, KJ, Josh Reborn, Rebecca Rodriguez, Kingslayer, Jed, Mihaitsa, Owen T, Tommy666, Gremlin Absolute, James Wright, Billy Bad Cables, Deep Winter, TXC0, Ulas Can Septicy, Evil Trunk Monkey, Ashley Taylor, Jack Centrone, I'm Tired, Fabian Schultz, Robert Escobar, Panda Panda, Maximilian Seeger, Tammy Gorterman, Gabrielle Rieterer, Ishbu, Jordan Parker, and Feisty Squirrel. Now moving over to this week's new Patreon signups, a big thank you and a massive shout out to Lord Mirak, John Melia, Emma M, Mario Georgie, United Provinces, Arshu, Brody Stewart, Connor Day, Tim C, Dejon Simmons, Six Can Cooler, Janny Brooks, Janae, Frederick Holm, Jack Schwinkendorf, Natalie Mayoral, Het Donker, Brendan, Bali ZF Baby, I Am Beanhead, Leo James, Nina Nuns, Claire Athen, Bubs, Simon Raicher, Aisha Woods, Robbie Bird, Zero Lord, Daniel Christensen, Corey Wilkes, Ben, Lynx Cool, Josh Harper, Ernie Gonzalez, Jonathan Estelit, Jaden Saber, Megan, J2O, Dylan Adams, Ethan Williams, Houston Lee, Justin Stetler, Super 6B, Louis Sophia, Banana Scott, That Kid, Evan Swenson, Sonny, Anthony McGuigan, Fandom Fanatic, Elliot Lehman, Alec Lind, Jake, James Joe Patrick Buckmuller, Vivian Mahaffey, Trent, CJ Tebbs, Maximilian Seeger, Dominic Solis, Sage, It's Izzy, Landon Hartley, Luca Osthius, Caden, Forst, Anthony Poole, and Tony Solbrig. So once again, a massive shout out to all of the YouTube members and patrons, and a big thank you to everyone else for watching.